people don't realize this. All those cable networks have apps. You know what else is on those apps? People. You know what they have on those platforms? Ad platforms.
That is so true.
I see ads for Paramount ads every day, and I'm about to start running some Paramount Plus ads. Right? I'm going to run Hulu ads. Netflix, on their free subscription, they have an ad platform. Right? All these platforms have ads connected. I don't want cable to go away. I want them to stay around so when they make their app and they're like, hey, we have an ad platform, I could test it. Right? I want to run ads on Fox and NBC and MSNBC. I can't run it on their cable network, but I could definitely run it on their app.
Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome to Legacy's Journey, where we talk about creating what outlives you. I'm your host, Cameron Williams, owner of Kinley Consulting, where we focus on strategic financial growth for marketing agencies so that they can live the dream life they deserve and not be a slave to their business. And we do that through accounting, CFO, and consulting services. Now, told y'all we in season 3, which means we had to go find some people. Who are some good people? Some people that are already doing this at a high level, that are bringing something different to the industry, that are willing to come on here and share their journey so that they can help you guys continue to excel. There was just one guy, he's pretty interesting. Then I was like, wait a minute. He started dropping some knowledge in between some wrestling videos. So I was like, all right, hold up. I was like, I see where this is going. I like this. So I said, hey, why don't you just come on the podcast? And he was like, all right, let's do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, Davis Schloss is here. Welcome.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, now tell the people, because they may not know you, they may not have ever heard of you. So tell the people name of the company and how you got started.
Yeah. So name's Davis Schloss. Company is Convert ROI. We are a social media advertising agency specifically focused on Meta, Google, and TikTok. I am most known for running Meta ads as far back as 2007. And I have also spent well over now $300 million in my career in advertising. Much of that has been in various industries such as real estate. It's in info marketing. It's in insurance. And that's all sorts of insurance. Teaching people how to do copy, teaching people how to start an e-commerce business. Like it's everything, right? Health and wellness, relationships, you name it. I've probably run ads in that niche. And then on top of that, I've worked with well over 1,000 different companies in helping them grow and scale their advertising operations, also help them train their media buying teams. And of course, along the way, I've also trained quite possibly thousands of people on the subject of social media advertising as well.
All right, y'all, here we go. Now, y'all know we take the notes. All right. My guy said Meta ads since 2007. For some of us, we were still, learning what Facebook was or just using it for college purposes, etc. So that's crazy. 300 million in ads is a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
To be responsible for. We're going to come back to that one and then work with over 1,000 companies and train their media buying teams. Okay, let's go with how did you get your start, right? Because something had to tell you, hey, I'm going to try Facebook ads. What was that thing for you and how'd you get started?
So I was actually in college when Facebook opened up their platform, right? So I was a freshman at the University of Florida. I was 18 years old, right? So it's actually been...
Wow. Whoa, time out.
Yeah.
University of Florida, man. Gators.
It is what it is, man.
Continue. This went from really excited to just...
I'll be quiet. It's okay.
It's Whether War Eagle, man. War Eagle, baby. War Eagle.
And that's fine. That's fine. It's okay. I won't say anything about them. It's cool. The only people I'm supposed to hate are Seminole fans or Hurricanes fans. And that's fine.
Dog fans.
True, but not as much. Not as much. It's like it's substitution hate. It's like, the Noles aren't good this year. I guess I'm gonna go hate this team. It at the end of the day, it is what it is. But I started in 2007 while on the platform when it was only open to college students. Remember, the platform itself was an invite only. You had to have an EDU email. And I first got my EDU email before I even attended, because once you're accepted through admissions, it's like, hey, set up all your stuff. So I set up everything. while I'm still graduating from high school in the summer time frame. I was like, well, I'm on Facebook, I'm integrating with people, I'm talking with people, all that good stuff. And around the fall, as I'm going through my first semester in college, they open up an ad platform and they send out an email to essentially the entire network. Because at the time, Facebook would be like, we got new stuff. And they would like tell everybody, right? Here's all the new stuff. And one of the things that they had announced was they are now opening their platform to the public so that any company could run ads. This is back when they only had right hand side, and then you were able to buy ad space on the homepage, right? And so there were companies buying like $20,000 ad space on like the homepage. So every person who logged in had to see that ad, right? And so for me, I had a buddy who worked for a company and he's like, yeah, have you ever run ads on Facebook? I'm like, I have no idea how you could run ads over there. He's like, well, it's been in beta for corporations for quite some time and now it's open to the public. And I was like, well, I saw the email about it. And he's like, well, you should just sign up and play around and see what's up because everything's really cheap. That was my first exposure to it was like the ads are really cheap. That's all you have to say to me. No problem. I'll go figure out what that means. Now, I wasn't looking into PPC. I wasn't trying to learn anything about make money online. But that first exposure to, hey, it's cheap. You could figure this out and maybe there's a way you can make money from it was all I needed to hear before I went down the rabbit hole on Google of how do I make money online. And it just so happened to be that there was an article from Darren Rouse at ProBlogger, which I believe that site is still around to this day, where he said some of the things that you can do to make money online are, learn SEO, affiliate marketing, rank websites, sell the websites, and then one of them was like start a PPC company, right? Do PPC for yourself or for other companies. I was like, well, social media advertising isn't a thing. It was we just knew it as a social network. So I was like, okay, this is a social network as an ad platform. It still falls under PPC. Maybe I could do something with this. It was so difficult to teach people the idea of why they need to run ads on Facebook for probably a good 5 to 6 years. Because remember, people didn't care about Facebook until roughly about 2012 to maybe 2016. That was like the boom period. That's
Yeah.
where everybody's like, I need to run ads over here. I need to run ads over here.
Yeah.
I was already on it for 5 years running ads and no one cared. And so it was struggle city. Like it was tough. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't get people to do it. So what did I do in the meantime? I learned SEO. I built websites. I
Okay.
ranked them. I sold them. But then I was constantly upselling the idea of you need to run ads on platforms like Facebook. Now, YouTube didn't have an ad platform yet. It came along a couple years later. Twitter came out, eventually had an ad platform. That was way later. LinkedIn came out, didn't really have an ad platform until way later. So a lot of these networks that we now are familiar with didn't have a platform for me to really run anything. I was on Facebook. Google was around. There was AdWords, there was AOL ads, there were MSN, all the browsers,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Well.
they all had something to run ads. So I was learning search more than I was learning the social media side because, like I said, it was still in an infancy. Oh, what am I going to do? Run ads on MySpace? They had an ad platform. No one cared,
Shout out
right?
to MySpace.
Right? And hey, that was my first exposure to having social media, other than Friendster and all these other platforms along the way, right? But Facebook was the one where I'm like, I don't think people are leaving. If anything, it's growing at this exponential rate and now they have this platform and companies are able to run ads on it. I'll figure this out eventually. Now, I didn't go to school for marketing, didn't get a degree in marketing. I actually got a degree in tourism and hospitality management. I learned online marketing on the side and turned it into a business while still getting my degree. So I saw something in this while still having that plan B with my degree because I'm like, well, at the time, living in Florida, you basically are in the tourism business or financial. Like that's what you do. And so I went into tourism because I'm a people person and I know how to market things. So it was an easy transition for me. But once I saw the online space start to grow really, really, really quickly in 2010, 2011, I was like, I'm just going to go all in with this. I'm not going to do SEO. I'm not going to do any of this other stuff anymore. I'm just going to focus on the online ads portion of it. And it took off after that. And I just went all in from that point.
Okay. So I just think that is cool from the standpoint of, to your point, I graduated in 2008. remember when I first got on Facebook, which I think would have been 2008 or 9 ish. To your point, like it was night and day from current day, and it's just felt funny to think about what we think is the norm today. Facebook ads and the advertising and all of that. Back then, it was literally just you on here with your friends sharing. What party y'all went to? Oh, we went to the club. Tag me
Hmm.
in pictures. Stuff
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
So that is crazy insane to go from the beginning to now everybody knows about it. So tell us, what are some of the things that you've seen, I guess, overall, positive and negative, that has changed from running it in 2008
Hmm.
versus we're now in 2024 where this is like its own line of business and things of that nature?
So it's one of the largest platforms, if not the largest platform, right? So if you have a business, you practically have to run ads on Facebook for the most part, right? And it's not just Facebook, it's also Instagram, it's also WhatsApp, it's also MetaQuest and the Ray-Bans, right? It's a whole network, right? They actually have wearables and they have the online component that we're all familiar with, right? Because back then we had one thing. You had Facebook. This was before they bought Instagram for $1 billion, right? It's Facebook. You log into Facebook, you go into a group back when groups would show up everywhere, and you'd hang out in groups. Or before it was Messenger, they just had the inbox, right? They eventually converted it to Messenger, and you would just talk to your friends and comment on things in the feed. And then when they start integrating ads more often, which by the way, like I said, the boom period for businesses was 2012 to 2016. The real boom of people running ads, just individuals, was around 2015 to 2018 because we had things like Shopify, Teespring, and all these other networks pop up that weren't available, that Joe Schmo from home could make a t-shirt and sell $1 million of it, right? We didn't have that early. You didn't know what a funnel was. Funnels didn't exist. A funnel itself, the concept did not exist. Okay, ClickFunnels didn't exist. Go High Level didn't exist. None of these things existed.
Shout
Right?
out to Russell.
Yep.
Shout out to the crew, the threesome at
Yep.
GHL. Keep going.
All of these companies didn't exist. They were conceptualized during this time. Right? Russell came out with ClickFunnels. I remember version one. Not great. I remember. And so it's one of those things where when you look at how the platform has evolved, if you had something to promote on Facebook, you built those pages in WordPress or you built them in a HTML editor, CSS editor, right? You were doing a lot of things by hand. It was tough, right? Shopify didn't really exist, but we had WooCommerce and it wasn't the way it's built now, right? And a lot of things are just tougher to do. So if you were able to launch ads back then, you were already at an advantage. Not only is the platform new and not as expensive, but then people who had these sites to maintain and optimize didn't know how because everything took long periods of time to get done, right? And those who were able to go in there and edit things on their own were able to test more efficiently and faster, right? And so it was this opportunity for people to throw $1,000 into something and it actually perform fast because the competition wasn't there yet. Right now, were there plenty of accounts that didn't work? Absolutely. Like it's the same problems now as there were back then. Your offer's not great, your copy's not great, your images aren't attractive. Like the same things that we point out now were happening back then, except there were 1/5 the amount of advertisers back then. That was the only difference, right? And also, they have simplified. Saying simplified to a lot of people is probably funny because they're like, it's so difficult to get into Facebook. I'm like, no, it's quite simple compared to where it was before. I'd had to go through 9 hoops just to get you connected to me. Right now, it's like log into Business Manager. Here's my ID. Boom, I'm connected. Right. That's pretty simple. And there's still people who struggle with doing that. Right. So for me, I see how things are now, and I'm like, it's only difficult to you because you don't remember all the stuff that I had to do back then to get this to work. And on top of that, yes, there's more competition, which means now you can't slack on being great at promoting what you do. Back then, I could have the crappiest ad, red border, BS stock image, and it would work. It would just work, right? Do that now. You'll be laughed right off the platform. You can't do that, right? And so there were a lot of things now that you actually have to your advantage that you didn't have back then. And even though it's kind of more expensive to advertise, there are ways to balance that, right? Just like everything that's inflated now, guess what? Ad platforms have to make money too. So, yeah.
Spoken like a true OG of the platform. Okay, let's go back here. Now you said you worked with over 1,000 companies and trained their media buying teams. Now I know this is a hot topic right here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about common issues that you've noticed in training their teams, because you and I both know coming out of college, they teach you a certain thing and
Mhm.
you like, nah, baby, this real world,
Yeah.
right? So talk to us about what are some of, let's just say, 3 common challenges that when you teach a media buying team that they're like struggling to grasp and kind of takes them a while to understand.
The biggest thing is most media buyers think that their way of doing it is the only way to do it. That is the biggest thing, right? Oh, I learned from so and so guru. It works. I have no other reason to do something else. Well, here's the thing, everyone has a ceiling in this space. Your ceiling might be that you've only scaled an account to $100,000 in a month, or you've only spent $20,000 in a month. The way you do things at 20,000 is not the same at 50, and it's not the same at 100 or even a million. It's not the same. There are different methodologies. There's different ways to space out your spend. There's different ways to test. There's different ways to bid on everything. So if you feel that your way is the only way, you're already at a disadvantage because someone is out there who's learned from all the gurus, watched all the YouTube videos, right? All hypothetically, but it's like they've watched an endless supply of material and they've tested these things with much bigger budgets than yourself and have figured out things that is not in the course. And that's all just through their experience. Now, someone like me who has spent the amount that I've spent, I've been in small accounts and I've been in very large accounts for $1 billion corporation, for example, that was spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a week, right? It's a very different situation to say that how I deploy ads in the $10,000 a month account is the same as the $100,000 a week account. It's not the same. Not to mention, billing is different. The features are different. You get more of a handhold process from the network themselves. The fact that I can have a rep call me directly and say, do this, and do this, and your CPMs will go down, you don't get that with a $10,000 a month account or even a $5,000 a month account, right? These are the huge accounts where they are monitoring every single move you make, making sure you get an ROI from day one. So what makes you think that you know everything? There's someone out there, I'm sure, who sits at a desk right now and has spent triple the amount that I've spent, but they just happen to work for somebody. So I don't know who they are. I don't know their methodologies, but that's what they do every day. I happen to own my own thing. So I'm able to talk about it more freely, right? And so I'm able to go into these companies and be like, let me show you what happens whether your account is $1,000 a month or $1 million a month, because the way that you are gradually building to that point will vary dependent on the industry you're in and what you're trying to run. And when you know everything that goes into that ability to incrementally scale, not just blow a bunch of money and then it's like I figured it out. I'm talking about incrementally build it and then do it at scale and profitably. That's a science. And most media buyers just go and work for some company that has a bunch of money to blow and they just throw everything at the wall to see what sticks. And then they're like, oh, I'm really good. It's like, I don't think most businesses have $100,000 to just blow and say, oh, it didn't work. That's not most businesses, right? So when I go into these companies, I'm telling them every dollar counts. So you're investing in the brand, you're investing in yourself. Every person, the media buyer themselves, has a value. Your value is whether or not you could turn that dollar into four.
Yep.
And if for every hour you work, that dollar doesn't turn to four, they're looking at you're a loss per hour. You need to figure out how to turn this around. So I go in there with those, with those hard facts, and I'm like, all right, now I'm going to show you how you can run ads effectively, how you could test things incrementally and not just kill the budget every month, right? How you could do things to where it's like, even if you only spent half the budget, you could see the progress being made, show it to your boss and say, now we're going to take this to the next level next month and everything's going to be profitable, right? it's just giving them a different way to look at things. Because my brain is built like someone in finance, right? I've
Okay, okay.
I've always wanted to be in finance. I actually wanted to be an investment banker. The only reason I didn't make it happen was because you go to the University of Florida and your first semester, uh, it's all partying and going crazy. You kind of mess up your business school opportunities. Anyway, uh, I was there during the Tebow era. You can imagine how insane that
It
was.
was crazy.
So I didn't make it in business school. But what I ended up realizing in that moment was I was learning things that many people, if not none of the people in business school, were learning at the time. So I had a skill set that didn't exist yet. So in being able to see, like, oh, if I put $1, it makes two. If I put $2 in, it makes four. Okay, we have compounding. Got it. How do I make sure that I can make it 1 to 4? Then when things slide back, how do I make it so that I don't lose everything I just gained? Right? I was treating everything like it was a stock, right?
Okay.
And as somebody who's always been analytical, who has always wanted to be in investing, who was trading since 13 years old in his dad's name because I could see chart patterns for some reason. It was like my brain was connected to that sort of thing. I was like, okay, if you treat ads like it's a stock market chart, like I'm looking at a company right now, and you could see that there's uptrends, what does that mean? Scale like crazy. You have an upward pattern, everything's green, you punch it, you go. You see that things are coming down. What does that mean? You cut your losses, you find ways to recalibrate, and you see if you can get things going back up again. Not everyone makes those connections. And so imagine being able to walk into a business and be like, let's connect the dots. What are the things that you're familiar with, and how can I connect media buying to that thing? I just happen to be the one that connects to finance, investing, company financials, things like that. And quite honestly, a lot of the businesses I work with, they understand those things because they have to be super analytical as well, right? So
This is
long-winded answer, but you could see it's pattern recognition. It's using your gut instinct, right? It's being able to understand the metrics and when it's the right time to put more money versus take money out, that sort of thing.
okay. I gotta ask this for all the just this is like so personal. All right, being an accounting firm, right? Of course, I got buddies that are trying to run ads, and one of the things I'm hearing them say is like, "We're running the ads, and of course, budgets vary. So we'll just
Yeah.
say between 1,000 and 2,000." And they're like, "I'm getting a bunch of leads, but these people either don't remember that they filled out the form,
Yep.
or have no clue what I'm talking about, or
Yep.
it's going to a no longer in service number." Like, what would you say to some of those people? And, or maybe the better question is, to either them or the company who's running ads for them.
Most likely, it sounds like they're running lead forms. I can
Yeah.
guarantee that. And I know this just off you saying the people don't remember even submitting their info.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I know this because a lead form is done in 2 clicks. Your stuff's pre populated. Of course, you don't remember filling anything out because you didn't have to. Now, the fact that you never left the platform is also another reason why you don't remember because you just went about scrolling, right? You click some things, you're like, oh, this seems pretty cool. As soon as that box closed, you went to the next thing. So you already forgot, all right? Now, as you can see, I already can identify the main problem right there. The
Because
other
you're an
thing,
OG. You've been doing this for years, for
but
decades.
but it's also, yes, it's almost 2 decades, right? And so yeah, thanks for making me feel old. I'm 36, man. What the hell?
Oh,
Anyway,
you're
so
34. It's okay.
yeah, so it is what it is. But the thing that I realized is in what you had said is that if the lead quality isn't what they're looking for, or the messaging isn't quite attracting the people that they're looking for, oftentimes it has to do with one of two things, right? One, if you're an accounting firm and you put out something, every accounting firm is saying the same thing. I can do your accounting. I can do it for cheaper or better than your other person. I get,
Tax. Save your
I,
tax.
or I can help with your taxes, and you won't get audited or whatever because why go to some other company to do it for $99, right? It's the same angle from every single person. So of
Okay.
course you're going to attract those that don't remember who you are. Or they give you fake info because all they're going to do is just see if you have anything special. Now, if your messaging is more direct towards a current and or usual problem, that the clients you already work with are experiencing, it's a lot easier to pinpoint that out because you already have experience in dealing with said problem. And there's tons of other people with that same problem. Great example. I run ads for people. Most commonly, their problem is my lead quality sucks. I don't have enough leads, or my value per customer or client is not high enough to where it makes sense for me to keep running ads. So, how do we do this? Improve the offer either through pricing or add on additional opportunities to buy things, average order value. Two, your messaging needs to be improved, which means we have to split test a lot more to see whether or not the people we are talking to are higher quality people. And then three, does the messaging in the ad align with what's on your page? Because if what I say in the ads does not align with what's on your page, we're sending mixed signals, which make us look like scammers. That's just three easy things that most people neglect, right? And that's the other thing. As an accountant, how many people buy ads and send people to a generic accounting website? Most, right? I do tax services. I help you with your bookkeeping. Don't care. Can you help me solve one thing? I have tax problems. Great. Talk about that in the ads. I've helped this person with this tax thing. I helped this person with this tax thing. I helped this person with this tax thing. Now everyone who's having a tax problem knows they need to talk to you, right? Change the messaging again. I helped this person restructure their whole business so that way they weren't overpaying on taxes or overpaying their local government for, registration fees and whatever. You know how many other people probably do that? Hundreds of them, if not thousands in your area, right? These are all different problems. Address them. And wherever you send them needs to have similar messaging. You don't talk about tax and send people to the homepage of your website. You send them to a tax page, right? You
Yeah.
talk about accounting, you send them to an accounting page, right? It seems simple, and you realize most people don't do that. It's
As
not.
someone who's getting into ads myself, it is not.
Mm-mm.
It is not.
No.
Okay, I gotta go here because now you're in the messaging. Now you also know about AI, of course.
Yes.
That's the hottest thing right now.
Correct.
How
Yep.
do you think? How did I word this question? How do you think AI will affect ads in relation to maybe the copy, the branding, or the positioning? Do you think it helps? Do you think it dilutes the market? Do you think it doesn't matter because some people are gonna put
Yeah.
in trash prompts anyway? What do
Correct.
you feel about that?
Yeah. What you put in is what you get out, right? So
Mhm.
if you put in a one word prompt, you're gonna get generic response. So everyone sounds robotic. Everyone sounds the same. Also, the more context you provide to AI, the better the response is. And even then, you might have to formulate it to sound like you. Now, here's the crazy thing. I use AI with a lot of my advertising copy. I write a lot of it. Probably about 90% of my copy is written with AI, but it's used for the general message. Tonality isn't always there. It's very difficult to train tonality because I'm a humorous, sometimes loud person. You can't translate that into copy if ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity doesn't know that that's the type of person you are.
Right.
So how do you get it to that point? Feed it videos, feed it your article content. You feed it as much as you can so it can learn how you speak. Once it understands how you speak, then you can get AI to do a lot of it for you. Now, here's the other part of that. It doesn't know what framework is going to work best for you to get conversions. It's guessing, right? Ads is it's all a guess until you test it. So unless you understand copywriting as a whole, it's just spitting out what it thinks you want. Whereas I might say I want something written in the tonality of David Schloss, but written in the format of a Russell Brunson.
See how you mixed it right there.
See how
Okay.
you mix it? I want a Frank Kern style story based ad written in David Schloss' voice, but utilizing the points given by name famous copywriter. You could see where you can mix and match it because you need to find the thing that works for you. Frank Kern goes out there and does his Kern stuff, it works. I try to do Kern stuff, it doesn't work, right? So you have to find the way that works for you. I'm a story based case study guy. That's what works for me. I write stories and I throw in lots of data, and people go, holy crap, I like this guy. And that's it. And then once they talk to me, I'm a humorous person. So that's what gets them to close. That's the format that works for me. And that has to translate in my ads. And if it doesn't, the ads don't work. That's for me, though. If I write ads for you, I can't write that same way. And AI doesn't know that yet, right? It doesn't know that yet. At some point, I'll be able to go, Here's everything from this accountant's business. This is how they write. Here's how they write their reports. Here's how they send stuff to, their clients. Now write it in the same tone, but I need you to write it in the format of this person, right? Let's say you want to write it like a Gary Halbert. Great. That's the format, but I want you to write it in my voice. Once it understands your voice, then it could do the rest. Then it's a matter of what you're throwing at it in terms of the prompt, because now it needs to understand what it's going to write about.
Are you team Chat GPT or team Claude?
I use Claude. I use Claude more. Now, I use Perplexity for journalistic research. Take that, plug it into Claude, turn it into long form. If I use ChatGPT, it's more specific to outlines and presentation frameworks.
Yeah.
And then I move that to Claude and I have it expand on the content. Claude just provides more context and sounds more human than GPT right now. But Perplexity, their level of research is deeper than those platforms. Like, they actually give sources, which is important if you're trying to prove something, right? And those other platforms don't always do that, right? They just give you like, oh, this is the answer. It's like, can you prove the answer though? I need the proof. Perplexity goes, here's the answer, and here's all the sources that we pulled these things from to come up with this answer. And it's like, I need that, because how else can I prove to you that this stuff actually works? Yeah.
Okay, let's keep it rolling. All right, so now we've talked about you training media buying teams.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the difference between beginning Facebook versus current. We've talked about things media buyers struggled with when you train them. We talked about how you think AI will affect stuff. What's 3 ways to fix your ads. Let's go here and take even a step back. I clearly forgot this one. You said you have worked with over 1,000 companies, spent over 300 million in ads.
Yeah.
This also means you know what they're doing right and wrong, because you're the one coming in to fix it.
Usually I'm the one fixing it. Yeah.
The one fixing it. So talk about, and you can pick whatever industry if that helps, but what are 3 things that most people are doing wrong? Let's do it this way, because I'm sure a marketing agency has probably hired you to come fix their stuff.
Multiple times.
So what are 3 things that as a marketing agency you need to be careful about when you run ads?
One, you're getting complacent, right? You find a winner and you run that thing to the ground and you stop testing, right? A lot of people, when they find those winners, they get lazy. So they stop, right? Testing never stops. There's always another ad that's better than the one you're running right now, right? Then, on top of that, it's not going multi-network, right? I used to just say, hey, you can crush things with Meta and you don't have to go anywhere. And then around 2018, 2019, I was like, that was dumb. You definitely need to go to other networks, right? Now, I tell people, find a way to figure out one network before you go to 2, 3, and 4. Why are you trying to spread out your efforts when you haven't figured out the first one, right? How are you going to be omni-channel without the budget, right? What are you going to do? Run $10 a month on Google, but run 1,000 on Meta? That doesn't make any sense. So focus on one platform, then scale it. And once you have some budget remaining or budget earned from that first platform, apply it to the second one, right? Now it's not coming out of your pocket. It's house money. You've earned from this, move it to the next thing, then move it to the next thing, right? And then the third thing would be, there's nothing wrong with getting outside critiques for your work. Even I have people check my stuff. I'm not perfect, right? Even as a marketing agency, an ad agency, ad specialist, right, for 18 years of my life, basically, I have people I go to and I say, double check my stuff. Please make sure I'm not crazy. Please make sure I'm not doing something wrong. Please make sure I'm not writing something that makes no sense. I get critiques of my stuff all the time because, once again, the way that I look at something could be vastly different from someone else, especially on an account that's not performing well. It's a good idea to go out there and get some outside help to just get a refresher. You might not be seeing something that they see. Nothing wrong with asking for help. A lot of agencies, just like I said in the beginning, same thing with media buyers, they have their way, and if it's not that way, it's not going to work, and that's BS. There's multiple ways to solve a problem. You just haven't looked. And so for me, getting some outside help It sometimes will give you what you need in order to get over that hump and then finally figure it out.
That is most definitely three. Okay. Just in case you zoned out. Three things that you as an agency is probably doing wrong. Don't get complacent, like just thinking it's a good campaign, we're making money and just leave it alone. Not going omni-channel. Make sure you focus on one platform before you start going to the LinkedIn's, the YouTubes, and all the other ones. And then there's nothing wrong with getting a fresh pair of eyes just because, like, we're geniuses, but ain't nothing wrong with it. All right,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about some of these other ones. I know we spent almost this whole entire thing on Meta. A lot of people talk about LinkedIn ads, so tell us your thought on those, and then tell us about the infamous YouTube ads, because a lot of people think and are ready to argue, yeah, Meta's number one, but I think YouTube's going to be a super close number two. What are your thoughts on those two things, LinkedIn and YouTube ads?
Yeah, so for LinkedIn, the experience has been that they've always been expensive since the first day. Now, expensive is relative, right? Because you're primarily running against corporations running corporate style ads, right? Now, I know that they are going to eventually have more creator based type ads because creators and influencers are getting a lot of attention over there, especially on the organic side, right? Great content spreads like wildfire. Once they open up the creator and influencer side of ads, I think that that platform is going to work wonders for people like myself who just want to advertise me and my process, not necessarily the agency itself. But if you are going to commit to running LinkedIn ads, uh, the budget you have for Meta is basically double over there on LinkedIn. All right, it's going to take you a little bit longer to figure things out, but at least you know the people over there, like they're ready to pull the trigger. Like they will spend money. So you just have to commit to running things for the long term. Like if you could run a test on Meta for 2 to 4 weeks and go, yeah, this isn't working. It's taken me 2 months to figure something out on LinkedIn, and I do this for a living, right? Like this, I'm in this every day. So just keep that in mind. You have a much bigger opportunity figuring out organic on LinkedIn, especially with video content.
Man,
So
as
just
somebody who's been trying to figure out LinkedIn for a long time.
yeah, it that's just how it is right now, and especially video because when a video takes off over there, everybody sees it. Your friends see it, their friends see it. Like it just spreads.
And I
Now,
can't even get my videos to upload. Like I'll do it on my phone. Like let's say we'll take this podcast clip, put
mm-hmm,
it over there and tag you, right? When I tell you it will not upload to save my life on LinkedIn. It'll just 8 minutes loading, loading, loading. Don't you dare click off the screen. And then it's gonna be like burn, and then you can't never get it. I don't know.
that's crazy. I mean, and that's the thing. I don't put a lot of attention on LinkedIn because even though I have a large audience that could be over there, because I'm working with mostly B2B and some B2C, it's like, those companies that run ads are there. I have more luck just messaging people over there and putting out content than I do running ads.
And I wonder how that is, because back when I first started with this, which would have been
Mm-hmm.
18, 19, 20, like it was all about organic. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't as spammy. The
Right.
videos weren't as big. It was just about making a good quality copy for your post. Versus now, I'm
Yeah.
like, please stop DMing me, y'all.
Yeah.
Please stop.
It's tough. Now, with YouTube, I would say this. YouTube is a part of the Google network. So Google and Meta as a whole have been fighting for the 1 and 2 spot for a long time, right?
Right.
1 month, Google's number one. Another month, Meta's number one. Like they interchange, right? YouTube is a part of that network. So if anyone's like, oh, YouTube's the number two, they're in the same network. So regardless, if you're running YouTube, you're running Google. That's how that works. Now, here's the thing about YouTube ads. I love YouTube ads, but if you're bad on camera, it's not going to work for you.
Mhm. Okay, explain bad on camera for some people because they don't know if that means bad video or just bad content.
Well, quality of the video, right? So 1080 and higher. Have you noticed that those 2K, 4K, 8K videos, they look sharp. And when people make those videos, what happens? They watch it. It's like a cinematic experience. Now imagine if you have a cinematic experience talking about your business. Of course they're going to pay attention. Damn, his camera's great. I got to see what's up. Now, if your camera looks like you recorded this in the back of your car with an iPhone 8, it's not going to work, right? You need to upgrade your camera. Now, iPhone 14 and up, your camera's fantastic. You can make this work. Like most of the Android phones crush it. You can do amazing things with your phones, but it still depends on the user. When someone has a brand new phone and they're like, "Hey, my camera quality is not that good," that's your fault. That's not the camera. That's your fault. Now,
Right.
I say all that because people still don't know whether or not this makes sense or this makes sense, right? It's like, which way do I record? Do I do it this way? Do I do it this way? It's like, this is how we know your video is not going to be that great. You're still asking those questions, right? Now, just get a professional to help you. Just hire somebody to help you record videos for a day. You can bang out a bunch of 1 minute, 2 minute videos very quickly. And then you can go from there. Now, back to the bad versus good video conversation. What is a bad video? Outside of the quality part, how do you communicate with people on camera? Like you can see, like in our conversation, like I've obviously done this a bunch. I know how to communicate. I know that my camera's up here. I know I can also look here, and it always looks like I'm looking in the same position. That also means I could have a script on my screen and I could be reading it and you'd have no clue. Right? Like I know how to put a video together. Some people, they need to read. They need to. There is no memorization. There is no off the cuff natural presentation. They have to read a script. And some people you could tell. You could tell when they're reading. There's no tonality, there's no expression. Their eyes are back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. No one wants to watch those videos. So how do you fix this? Well, now, yeah, you have AI. Oh, a lot of people know about those AI voices. And we all use the same ones. So, in order for your content to stand out, if you want to do faceless, so you're just reading, your voice has to have tonality, it has to have expression, it has to have some energy behind it, and then have to bring it low sometimes. Like you have to know how to almost be like an actor.
Yeah, like when you read your kids bedtime stories.
Right. And some people are terrible at that. So what makes you think you're going to be good at video? Right? Some people just aren't made for this, and that's okay. You're really good at your job. You're really good at your business, right? Not everyone's great on camera. Not everyone's meant to be an influencer or creator. So, if you can't figure that part out, what makes you think YouTube's going to work?
Yeah.
You got to be on camera. And if you're not on camera, you got to be a great reader, right? So there's a balancing act. Now, could you figure out the Google side, Google search, Google display, where you don't have to be on camera at all? It's just graphic ads and copy? Of course. There's so much traffic on that side, and everyone neglects it because they think it's expensive. Hello, YouTube is on the Google network. The same targeting on search and display is the same one you're going to have on YouTube, except you could target by channels instead of websites. You could also target by websites, right? So, yeah.
All right, here, let's go here. Cause so I don't know if you can see him. He's probably gonna laugh at me. So our producer's here, right? He's hidden on the right pane somewhere. So one of the things we've talked about a lot is when do you pull the trigger for something like YouTube ads, and what is the correct expectation? So like for our podcast, right? We
Mm-hmm.
think it's great, it's personable, it tells you guys a story.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's encouraging the next 18-year-old David, right? But
Mm-hmm.
how do we get that in front of more eyes? How do we go from, I think our biggest one may be, let's just say 90 views. How do
Yep.
you take it from 90 to 900 or to 1900? How would you suggest utilizing the ad piece in order to grow YouTube content?
Well. So first off, are you loading these into the YouTube podcast section?
I wish he could unmute. Better yet, he's probably, uh, sir, he's looking. He wants to know. We'll just say no for right now. What
Okay.
I'm assuming he's doing is probably, he said no. Okay, no.
So YouTube has their own podcast section. Every channel has the ability to load a podcast. You don't think YouTube's going to give you some extra boost if you're using their native platform to upload the thing that they want more of, right? So you have what? You have YouTube podcasts. You have the fact that you can go live on YouTube, right? When you're utilizing all these different features, they naturally start to favor you over time, right? If you're taking all of this podcast and you're editing it in, let's say, like Opus or any of those
Yeah,
clip,
we use video AI.
that one's fine too. If you're using those platforms, captioning everything and then loading it as YouTube Shorts, great. But you need to load the longer form into YouTube podcasts, right? Because guess what? All those shorts can connect back to the long form,
Correct.
right? Also, all those short clips, which they call remixes, can link back to the long form. So when someone goes to the long form podcast, they could see at the bottom, it's like, oh, here's all the videos that we're remixing this podcast. Right? That's one thing. Two, when you are consistently loading content on YouTube to your channel, and by consistent, I mean like every Monday at some time or every Wednesday at some time, YouTube notices. When they see that you're consistent and that people start to pick up on your content, then they start to show you in suggested. They start to show you on the homepage for your subscribers more often, and they start to show you on the homepage of people who've searched for you more often, right? Then on top of that, uh, your thumbnails are basically the equivalent of ads. The higher your click-through rate on your thumbnail, the more you get shown in search. And most people don't split test their thumbnails. They just put up a random thumbnail and they're like, I hope people see this, right? Now, are you chaptering your content? Probably not. Are you throwing in keywords that people are searching? Probably not. Is your headline getting people curious enough to click the thumbnail? Probably not, right? There's a lot of things that could be done to improve your content. Fun fact, use an AI called Taja. 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 Here's why. Upload your video, your podcast, go to Taja, put the URL of that. It'll give you shorts, it'll give you a thumbnail, it'll give you the keywords to use, it'll give you a description, and it'll make your chapters. You don't have to think.
But
Once
this
you
is
do,
all before you even consider and think about putting the ad money to anything.
this isn't ads at all.
This is
This
just
isn't ads.
optimizing it organically.
I mean, how else do you get these? You know, how do you get the plaques?
Talk about them, because again, some of these marketing agencies are going to be newer, some are super established past guests. So break it down.
So those plaques are the YouTube plaques for having a channel over 100,000 subs. Okay,
Subs, y'all, not views. People that every time he posts, they watching.
Right. So, and I also have the counter on my desk. It says 107,000. So that's one of my channels, right? So the reason I mentioned that, one of the plaques I got was for a partner channel, and the other one was for my own channel. And the reason is because I had realized that a lot of this, everyone wants to do faceless or they want to be famous. And if you want to do faceless or famous, it's the same exact process. You need to be searchable. You need to have something that people want to click, and you need to have content that people can watch for the long term and for the long form. So if YouTube sees that people are watching your content 50% of the way, 80% of the way, or watching it often all the way through, they're going to keep showing your stuff to those people over and over and over. Most of my views come from suggested videos, meaning I pop up after someone else's video constantly. And that's because I talk about subjects where people watch more than one piece of content around it. I talk about ads. So you go and watch an ad content from somebody that's 20 minutes and you watch the whole thing. All of a sudden, I come up as the next suggested video because mine's 15 minutes and I talk about the same thing. So you might want to watch a different perspective. And then my video shows up, right? So I got a lot of viewers and then I got a lot of subs because of that. And so, I don't try to be on the homepage. I try to show up on everyone else's suggested. And that's where the keywords come in. That's where the headlines come in. You just look at what the top 3 to 5 videos are for certain terms and just come up with your own version. You have AI now. Take the top 5 titles of different search terms that you want to rank for and just rewrite all the headlines and make your own video. It's not
Okay.
yeah.
Because we know a lot of marketing agencies now as a branding play. Ooh,
Mhm.
and I see one every week from somebody that we're connected with on Facebook. Hey,
Yep.
we're gonna start our first episode of our podcast. So
Cool.
guys, he literally just laid it out. Oregon, this not even the ads part. He didn't even touch that. That's just somebody who's done it at a high level with the awards, trying to break it down and keep it as simple as possible. So
Yep.
this means you need to be connecting with him anyway. Just as matter of fact, give him a sub so that way you can see the genius live and in action. But he's literally telling you, like, as a marketing agency, these things are important. Before we haven't even talked about the ad spend. Now let's go to take it to the next step. So you have all this nice and pretty, the quality, the transitions, the swoops, the sound effects, all of that.
Yeah.
Now, how do we bring in the ads? What are we supposed to be looking for to know we need to be ready to put some money behind this now?
So here's my little secret. I make a playlist with the videos I want people to watch, and I send all the traffic to a playlist because they get stuck in a feedback loop.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine I put 5 of my best videos and I make it like a series. So let's say it's all my webinar content where I talk about how to improve your webinar performance, ads, attendees, and all that. I'll make a playlist with all webinar related content, and then I'll target the terms based around webinar advertising on Meta, how to get more webinar attendees with Facebook ads, right? I will bid on all those terms, and I will send all that traffic to the playlist about webinar ads. Because what happens is, as soon as they come from that ad to the video, let's say they watch that video, it takes them to the next video in my playlist. They can't leave. They don't leave. They just go to the next one, and it
Right.
auto plays the next video, right? So they get stuck in this feedback loop. Guess what happens? That first video may not entirely count towards my minutes viewed organically, but that second video does. That third video does. That fourth video does, because that didn't come from an ad. That second and third, fourth view was from them just continually watching more stuff. Not to mention, by YouTube seeing that you've now watched multiple pieces of content from the same person, I start showing up in their suggested and in their right hand side for everything. They can go and watch a video about cats. I'm still there because you've watched a bunch of my content. So they think, oh, you clearly like what this guy is talking about. So we just want to make sure you know he has more stuff. So now I start showing up everywhere. So I drive visitors to playlists. And in doing that, I also use, and you'll have to Google this, but there is a URL, like a extension to your URL, that when you add it to your YouTube channel, every time someone goes to your channel, a box pops up that says, would you like to subscribe? It's like a little pop-up. And in order to go past that, you either have to click outside the box or you have to subscribe. And so I send people to the playlist with that URL extension. So they show up, they land on YouTube. It says, would you like to subscribe? Let's say you say yes, you click it, boom. Now you're in the playlist. You're watching the playlist videos. So I get a 2-for-1. I get people stuck in my playlist, and I also get the subs at the same time.
Okay, let's go here. Dang, I did not see how the time got away from us. This was so good. Okay, what is this? What do you think about this thought of people saying, like, YouTube is gonna catch cable, so to speak, from the standpoint of you can literally, because of like the things you're saying, curate your own personal things. Like, I know for myself, there are certain people's podcasts that I will literally sit there and watch like an episode of TV, right?
Same.
And watch the whole hour and 20 minutes of them interviewing whoever person.
Yep.
Do you think that there's even more of a capability for YouTube to take over more of that? Do you think cable will always have its place? What are your kind of thoughts on that?
Cable will have its place until the generation that grew up on cable doesn't use cable anymore. And there's only one way they're not going to use cable anymore. I'm not going to say it out loud, but you get where I'm going. Every generation fades out over time, right? Now, here's the thing. There's still a large community of people who use cable. I also have cable still. You know why I have cable still? Because there's certain things I still can't get on YouTube TV. There's still certain things I can't get.
TV.
Right? There's still certain things I can't get on Prime. And that's only because those deals haven't been made yet, right? Those legacy deals are still ongoing. There might be another 3 to 5 years left on an NBA contract or a NHL contract or NFL. Once those all run out, they're going to be on streaming services, right? It's just like how now WWE is on Netflix. I have no reason to have USA anymore. But if I want to watch AEW, I have to watch TBS or TNT. So, until they're not on there anymore. So there's still the money to be made on the TV platforms, but people don't realize this. All those cable networks have apps. You know what else is on those apps? People. You know what they have on those platforms? Ad platforms.
That is so true.
So
because we even have clients that are like, I'm like, hey, I see this Hulu subscription. And they're like, yeah, because we run ads to Hulu, so we need to be up to date with the platform and see what's working.
I see ads for Paramount ads every day, and I'm about to start running some Paramount Plus ads, right? I'm going to run Hulu ads. Netflix on their free subscription, they have an ad platform, right? All these platforms have ads connected. I don't want cable to go away. I want them to stay around so when they make their app and they're like, "Hey, we have an ad platform," I could test it, right? I want to run ads on Fox and NBC and MSNBC. I can't run it on their cable network, but I could definitely run it on their app
So
because
do
that's,
you
one
do
tenth the
you
price.
so do you think business will start to see more local businesses possibly on apps now? Because I know in my case, like I was watching, I forget, some anime show last night while I was getting sleepy. And the ads were like super generic. It's like,
Yep.
oh, so medicine. Do you think they're going to trend more towards, hey, go to David's ad company because
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
okay?
My goal, and this is actually the first time I've ever said this, but I actually mapped this out the other day. I am going to eventually run ads on all these different platforms. I only got to figure out one thing for each of them. And then all I have to do is run an ad on any platform and be like, have you ever considered on running ads on connected TV, such as Roku, Hulu, any of those things? If not, I could show you how it works because I've done it.
Well,
Most marketing agencies stick to the social side. But what you don't realize is there's still people who are 45 plus, 50 plus on these connected TV platforms with way more money than the people who are 18 to 35.
that's my
They got
point.
money to spend, and
Yeah.
you're just not advertising to them.
Yes, that is so good. Because, like my dad, for example, I remember last year, I think it was, or the
Mm-hmm.
year before, he's like, Cam, you got to put me on this streaming thing because I got Dish, but I got like, because he had this big old house. He's like, I got 12 boxes, but I heard I can get rid of them. By the time we finish, I'm like, you need one box because you need your,
Mm-hmm.
direct TV login. And I'm like, now you just get the apps for all the channels you want. Ever since then, he's like, "Oh, this is amazing because now I can just I know my specific shows, I know
Yep.
what channels they're on." And to your point, that's a different audience that's already established, been
Yes.
in their careers, already are making money. That may not, he's not a YouTube person like that. He's just
That's
not.
it.
He's 53.
You could take it a step further. I'll throw this last little bit in as a bonus for you. It's the same thing for local services. Okay? We
Mm-hmm.
all use Google. We use Google Maps, right?
Right, right.
Don't you also use Thumbtack to hire contractors? Don't you also go to Home Source to look for people to rebuild your kitchen? Don't you also go to name a local thing next door? Don't you go to, all these other platforms? Did you know that ring.com, aka our doorbell, has an ad platform?
It does.
Yeah. Blink.com. Blink is the same thing, the doorbell slash camera company for Amazon. Amazon has an ad platform. You could run ads through Blink.
Mm.
You can run ads through Ring. You can run ads on Thumbtack, Nextdoor, Open Door, whatever, right? You have a restaurant. Why aren't you running ads on Open Table or Yelp?
Because I don't think, to be fair, and I can say this because I work with agencies and I'm not one, you don't get exposed to even these types of ideas until you have conversations like I would have
Mm-hmm.
never thought. I've seen a ring ad,
Mm-hmm.
but I just would have never thought that, oh, maybe I can do it locally, within 40 miles. I would have never thought that until you brought it up.
Just, it's everyone is assuming that the only ads that work are the ones that you're aware of, right? We already know about Facebook. We already know about Instagram. We know about, the whole Meta network. We know Google, YouTube. We know LinkedIn. We know
TikTok.
Pinterest, TikTok, right? But you forget about these other platforms where, yeah, they still have competition, but they also have less because not as many people are thinking about them. Now, here's how you can use it. You run ads over there for very little amount. Now you're seen. Because if all of a sudden they see you on Meta, then all of a sudden they log into their Netflix and they see your ad over there, they're like, damn, this company's everywhere, right? Or they log into Paramount, or they log into whatever, right? They log into their DraftKings and they're like, man, they're my DraftKings act too, right? It's yeah, you forget because you're only thinking about one
Twitch.
thing.
They run ads on Twitch.
Yep. Yep. Every app you use has something, but you don't know what platform they're on. You don't know if they're baked into Google. You don't know if they're on some other network. Once you find out where the ads are served, then you're good, right? And by the way, most of these apps are running ads through AdMob, which is the which is the integration through Google to run ads on apps, right? But that's the Android version. You want to run ads on apps through the Apple Store. Most of these apps have their own advertising like placements. Like you have to basically contact them, right? So a lot of ways to maneuver around this. You just have to understand every single platform has a budget. Some of them have $20 a day minimums. Some of them have $5 a day minimums. Every time you open up another place, you got to have a budget for it. That's it. But sometimes it's actually a good idea not to start out on Meta or not to start out on YouTube because that's where everyone starts.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're 5 minutes over. We want to respect your time. All right, let's do this. If people are like, this guy is a genius, does he have a course or something I can buy? How do I connect with them? Tell them again the name of the company, how they can get in touch with you, the whole nine. This is your time.
Yeah. ConvertROI.com. That's the agency is Convert ROI. If you want done for you or done with you advertising, that's where you hit me up, right? There is a space there to directly message me or email me. I get it. No one else. It's me. If you want to learn how to do all this stuff, convertuniversity.com. That's where I have all the training. And very shortly, there will be a whole new group of training in there, not just around Meta, but other platforms too. And that's where I do all my tests. That's where I showcase, like, hey, this is what's working. Here's what's not. Here's frameworks. Here's the templates I use, everything. Right. And we're about to do a complete overhaul in a 2.0 version of this whole thing. So whatever the price is today is the lowest it's going to be. And that's for real. I'm actually increasing everything. So yeah, it's convertuniversity.com for the learn at your own pace, learn everything that I know, convertroi.com for if you want ads run for you or if you want to do them with me, meaning it's like a half education, half will do it for you.
Y'all, I told y'all we going out here to find the best. And it's you can just see from the excitement, the level of detail, the wealth of knowledge, how great David is. Like he's been doing this since he could go to college. So this isn't like I just did this 2 years ago and I made a bunch of money. No, this is been making money, 7-figure company, work with some of the brands that you probably wouldn't even think about. That's the type of people we want to have on here to serve you guys as a whole. I would try to go over all these notes again, but it's just a lot. I mean, we talked about LinkedIn ads, YouTube ads, Google. He gave you a couple tips on where do you send traffic to. Like so much good stuff here. You need to, if you know a marketing agency that runs ads, they need to watch this. If you know somebody who's thinking about wanting to run ads, they need to watch this. If you're a local business owner and you have a marketing budget or want to increase it and don't know where to start, they need to watch this episode. Tell him one last time because we want him to get paid. We want y'all to blow the website up in a good way. Where can they find these courses or how to get in touch with you? Tell them.
Convertroi.com and convertuniversity.com.
There you go. All right, y'all. I don't know what else to say. I'm blown away as the non-marketing agency person here just because this was a ton of good stuff. So share the episode, like it. Tell us your favorite part, your favorite clip. We're going to try to get the clips out so that you guys, so much. I mean, I just got tallied like at least 11 good ones. So y'all just going to have to just rewatch the whole episode. With all that being said, man, David, thank you so much. We may have to do a part 2 sometime in 2025 just so, because I'm sure stuff will change again.
Yep. Every time.
This was awesome and amazing, man. Thank you so much, guys. Until the next episode, we're dedicated to finding you the brightest, the smartest, the coolest people that are willing to come on here and share not only their journey, but how the marketing industry is changing, what's worked, what's not working, and how it can best help you. So with all that being said, thank you so much. Until the next episode, guys.